Let's work on our project to make it a proper parent and child library system. Hello everyone, this is Ali Reza. Welcome to Mentor Code Lab. Right now I'm in the process of updating my mods and libraries to 1.21.10, and I already have finished my library system, and as you see I was thinking the Ultra IO project. However, during this process finally I got fed up and I thought to myself that, you know what, we have a new version of Minecraft, and eventually I had to go through the code and read the errors, fix the errors, and you know what, add some things to the code that we will talk later in the library system series. However, I got fed up. This project structure is good, don't take me wrong, it's good because I have a single project-based system. I can open, for example, GBase separately inside IntelliJ IDEA and I work on it and close it and move forward. Or alternatively, I can open the projects folder and work on everything. But this has a limiting factor. Each time I want to update something, I have to work in a hierarchy of priorities. For example, if I'm working on GFluid and I find that something needs to be added to GBase or GRaDle, for example, I have to go and add it to GBase first, then update GRaDle because GBase is changed, and then do my things in GRaDle and publish it to local Maven or whatever, and then come back to GFluid and resync it. Don't forget, we have to delete the cache from remap graya, for example, and then resync the GFluid and continue my work. And God save me if I have to repeat this process. It happened more than once that I had to go back and forth between different libraries, especially when it comes to GBase. Then I have to make sure that every other library below it is a state focused. And this is something that I don't like. Also, right now, I don't have a dedicated mod that will combine everything inside of itself so that if someone wants to bind to this library as a whole, he would just add a single line of dependency in his mod and get on with it. For example, if we open Ultra IO build.gradle, we all had seen it, don't we? A single line of code to depend on Fabric API. However, if we take a look at Fabric API, we see that it combines many different subprojects under a single library. And by doing so, we can simply depend on a single mod or a library in our case and get done with it. Alternatively, if someone wants, there should be an ability to build each one of these separately. I think we will see about that and have it their own way. For example, if we go into the command and open the build.gradle, we see that it's really simple. It's just adding a version, adding a dependency to another submodule. We will talk about it. Then a test dependency, then an access widener for itself. And that's it. So the submodules really have an empty, clean build.gradle. Everything is happening in the parent module. If we take a look, this is the main Fabric API mod. As we see, it has a main resource, test mod resource. We will dive into this guy later, but in the main resource, again, it has a FMJ and assets fabric and an icon. So it's just an empty structure to combine everything inside of itself and present as a single mod or library to be used. What if I want something like that? The very first thing that I had in mind was to follow my own tutorial and combine everything and make the whole project work. But then I thought to myself that, you know what? We have a very good, robust reference, and I already showed it to you. That robust reference is the Fabric API itself. This is Fabric API repository. They had done everything as professional as possible, although it makes it as complex as possible. But don't worry, we will walk you through this complexity step by step until everything is finished and ready. It means that if I follow their footstep and convert my own system into a system like this, I will have a very robust solution, at least for my libraries. Not for the mod, because mods are different. Let's talk about this difference first, and in the next videos, I will start doing things. By the way, I will publish smaller videos for this specific task, each time focusing on a single thing, get it done, and then move forward to another video. However, those videos may become 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I don't know, 15 minutes. This is a complex system that we are attacking at. I want to make it so that everyone understands every single bit of it, line by line, because let's face it, Gradle is complex. Not everyone understand what's going on in Gradle, and because of that, they just copy paste each other. However, if you are going to copy paste from Fabric API, we should start understanding it completely before making it our own. The very first thing that I need is a new repository, because let's face it, the project repository will not hold up the previous modular library system. It will only become a project folder for my mods, not the library system. And because we want to combine everything in such a way that we follow Fabric API's example, we need a separate repository, and in this repository we will have subfolders and everything. So as you see, I gave the name glibs to the repository because the general idea was that the whole system is part of glib's library system. A little bit of description, public, no template, just add the README file, and then I don't add any git ignore right now, and then add the license as MIT. So I will create the repository. Then I will come back and get this HTTPS link right now. Don't close this window. We will have to work with it later, or you may want to open it again later down the road. Then using any Git application, in my case, I'm using GitKraken. I highly suggest you use GitKraken. They have a community edition. It has limitations, but it's a very robust solution. We can go with clone, and it will be inside the Fabric projects. Then I have this folder called mine, and I will say that, hey, use glibs. However, before doing that, I need to make sure that under mine, I don't have any folder called glibs. And now that I'm sure that my folder structure are empty and I don't have glibs, then I will clone the repository. It should be fast because it's basically an empty repository. And yes, I want to open it so that I can work on it later down the road. Something that is really important. Part of the Fabric API system is naming their libraries based on the Git branch. So you should make sure that the Git is installed on your operating system. Well, when you install GitKraken, it automatically installs the Git, I think. And also, it should be a part of a repository so that it can handle branching. And it's a good solution because although I'm not using branches that much myself, however, if you want to have a branch and work on a branch and you are publishing things, then you will see that, okay, this thing is on the branch and not the main as a published jar file. And that's a good system. We will talk about them later, little by little. The very first thing I want you to see is that under Fabric API system, we have few files that we normally don't have under any mod development system. One of them is the header, the license sometimes. Then we have the checkstyle.xaml, and these are some things that you may want to have under your folder. So let's take a look. Let's go with the header file first. It's just a header file that will be injected later under your mod. So if I want to, I may want to add it here. So I will hit the download raw file here, let it being downloaded, and then getting it into the folder and copy it here. Although I'm not sure if it has an extension, it looks like it doesn't have an extension. So alternatively, I think I have the Fabric API as a local maven here. Let me see others, maybe not. Let's see Fabric API or Fabric itself. I think it should be Fabric. Yeah, that's it. So I have that header file. Yes, thank you. Control C. And then I just need to open my repository again. There we go. And I will paste it there. So now I have a header file that I can edit in Notepad or Notepad++, wherever I want, because now I want to change them. So this is right now 2025, and it's not Fabric MC. I will say my name. Why not? Okay. The nickname was always Jiraiya, or right now the mentor in the game. I have two IDs. The Jiraiya ID was lost, but someone donated a name for me, and that was the mentor. So I will put them there. And that is not Apache license anymore. It's MIT license, and I'm not sure MIT has a versioning or not. Okay, there we go. That's our header. It will be injected into every class at build time, and this is the MIT itself. And as you see, it's just my name here, so I will keep it the same way. That's the first two. Then we will have this checkstyle XML. I will copy it, I will paste it, and then I will open it in Notepad++. I highly suggest using Notepad++ for things like this. And as you see, it looks like it's a code formatter. Although we don't format the code using these sort of guiding files ourselves, but this is a nice thing provided by Fabric API. This is a generalized Java thing. Now, the only difference that I have with other Java developers is that I put the opening curly brace at the start of the line. I just don't want to see they change it. And they have comments, so we can follow that. Ensure all imports are shape. Okay. Braces are at the end of the line. Oh, okay. Left curly, right curly. This is not what I want, I think. So I will comment them from here to here. Then then single line statements on one line. Do I want to do that? It means that if I have something like if condition return true, it will fall inside one line of code. That's not my style of coding. Okay, let's keep it there. Empty line separator, operator wrap, separator wrap. They are allowing the spaces around plus, minus, multiplier, and division, and they say sometimes they are more readable without the spaces. I don't know. I'm not sure about that one. Then I will leave the rest as they are. As I said, my only aim here is to make sure that curly braces are not being moved around. Looks like those few lines of comment will do the trick. Now that we have the check style, we can start working on our mod. Now let's take a look at the structure. They have this source and the Gradle file, .ignore, and then Gradle W things. These are coming from a mod. I have downloaded the 1.21.10 template. It can be any template, you just need the latest version. We go into our folder, we get the GitHub, Gradle, source, git attributes, git ignore. Build.gradle will be gone, but okay, let's get it. The only thing that we don't get is the license and the rest, okay? We drag and drop them here. From this moment forward, things will change a lot. Now I will open this build.gradle inside Notepad++, but I will keep it on the second monitor because as I said, things will change. We don't need you anymore. We don't need you anymore. And we don't need you for time being. So I will close that one. I want this glibs to be opened as a project inside IntelliJ IDEA. The moment I do that, it will try to start and download and organize the build.gradle there. That's not what I want. If I can find that work folder, for God's sake, no. Yeah, there we go. I want to stop it as fast as possible. It doesn't change anything, but I prefer to start working with an empty slot because we have lots of things that we need to cover and we will have few videos before we even be ready to start syncing the project. Stop. Okay, there we have it. Okay, close that one. Now, we don't need you for time being. Okay, now we are ready to start working on everything. As I said, we will have a long road ahead of ourselves before being ready to hit this sync button here. So get ready for a few videos of not seeing any Gradle task here or a working solution. The very first thing that we need to change is this settings.gradle. Normally, a mod developer doesn't work with this. We need to work with this because we are using a multi-subproject system. The very first one, let's start understanding what's going on here. Plugin management. What does that mean? As the name suggests, it's trying to manage the plugins that are related to the whole project. Not a subproject, but the whole project in one go. The first part is defining repositories. Now, what repositories do we want to use is, of course, Fabric repository, and this is the link. Then they add Maven Central. However, Fabric API is not using Maven Central, to my surprise. They just have this Gradle plugin portal. Now, let's take a look at our project because I remember that these subprojects have something in settings.gradle. Let's take a look at that. As you see, under plugin management, I have this Loom version section. Okay, we will talk about it later. But the repository section remains the same. However, as you see, I attack something here that you normally won't see happening. The reason is that if I open the build.gradle here, you normally see somewhere that says Loom version equals to some number, but you don't see it here. No, you don't see it here, okay? By adding these two sections here and here, I made sure that if I have this dependencies.property, I can add this thing here, Loom version equals to something, and then each project using their own settings.gradle will try to read that. As you see, dependencies.properties, it's getting a reader and then tries to read the Loom version, and then it assigns it to the Fabric Loom version. We can't normally do it inside the build.gradle as we are doing it, for example, here. We can't do that like this because Loom version is a little bit special. Now, the reason I had that was that I was working with over 20 different sections in time. Of course, some of them are not implemented yet. And I didn't want to repeat myself for that Loom version numbering each time I'm working on a project. However, now I don't need to do that. The main build.gradle will handle everything. So I'll delete the content of this file, make it empty for time being. The way this new system works is that I need to change that Loom version once in this parent build.gradle. Every child will know that the new version is this and it will follow that. The main difference between the The settings right now and what we have inside the project system for Fabric is that we have a Maven Central in here. That's the first step. Then Fabric has something like this, and I will copy paste things as I go forward because typing it is a little bit of a headache. And this is the root project.name. Of course, it will define the name of the root project. Okay, Fabric API. Well, do I want it to be glibs-API or just glibs? I will go with glibs. I will immediately make sure that I save it to dictionary. Okay. Then we have things here, and I will show it in front of the monitor right now because we need to talk about it. Because I will go step by step, and we need to understand what's going on. As you see, it will include two sub-projects, the BOM and catalog. These two are projects that are special, and it's called metadata projects. They really don't have a code. If I open the BOM, you will see that it only has a build.gradle. Same goes for catalog. They just add information to the artifacts in Maven. Okay. Then they have this part. So I need to first add two projects here. These are the submodules, and this is how we add the submodules. We already know that. So I will replace the Fabric API to glibs wherever I see them. And this means that here I need two new folders, not a file, but a directory. And the directory name should remain as the thing that we see here. So glibs, BOM, a new directory, glibs-catalog. Okay, of course, we need to add their own build.gradle files there, but as I said, I want to move step by step, and we are really far away from a working solution. The next section is something that is really interesting. This is a neat trick that they do. If you recall, my project had tons of Gradle structure here, and if I would want to build, for example, the base, I had to find the base between 30, 20, whatever number of projects here and open the Gradle hierarchy and then find the build and build or publish to Maven, whatever. What if I just want to see the base and nothing else? If I want to work on the code on base and just want to publish the base jar file and publish it to Maven, I just need to see the base in this list. This is how they do that. They may have this file on the root of the project. So I will add a file, make it focus.txt. If this file is there, if it exists, then they will start reading the content of the file line by line, and then they will include the content of this line by line in the project. In other words, for example, if I have gbase here and save it, it will find the gbase as a single line. And here is something that you should understand about this keyword. This keyword means anything that we are currently having in the scope and we are working with. Right now, we have text from a line. So that becomes it. Then we say include this subproject. At the end of this, we have read every possible subproject that we want to work on it, and we included it into the project. So we return. And here's the comment to skip the rest of includes, because let's face it, they have lots of includes after this block. And as you see, they include the base, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Then they have this deprecated section. I will talk about it, but we don't have lots of things and we need to change things on the fly. If I want to work with this structure, then of course I will have something here says include. Here I want my first project being added. So let's copy it. And this is not the glibs-base. Actually, I called it gbase. I know, for, I don't know, maybe 80 episodes. But now I want to follow a standard approach that Fabric API is using, and that is the top-level library system dash the submodule. So we will have glibs-base. Of course, means that now I need to do something. This thing can be one of the two things. One, a folder name, or it can be a project name. In other words, my directory name can contain, for example, something like 00-base to keep things in order. But the whole reason for having that crazy numbering system was to remind myself what needs to work before what. And the whole reason for this new approach is to get rid of that remembering and process. So now I can say that, okay, I can just follow this, glibs.base, and it shouldn't be there. gbase, gbom, gcatalog, and this is our first include. Now, if I want to, I can add more things from my hierarchy of the libraries, because right now I know what I need. So let's do that. I will copy this, I will paste it, and this will be the logger. After the logger, it will be reference. Then we have config, register, tick logic. Then we have gralib. That name is a little bit stupid. Let's change these things. Let's call it core, and this will be base. Then we will have GUI. We will have energy, inventory, fluid, gas is not implemented yet, heat is not implemented yet. Then we have molten 10, not implemented yet. Suspension, emulsion, it's not implemented yet. Pressure, not implemented yet. So you can say that these are chemical and physical libraries to handle things for a tech mod, and because of that I may neglect them for some time. Anyway, then we have the pipe network, then machina or machines. Let's change let's keep it as machina. I like that stupid name, and that's it. In future, if I want to add anything, I can just come back here and add it. And now that I have them, I can go back and add the folder names. So again, new directory, that, enter. So I will add the directories and I will come back when they are ready. As you see, it's a lot of library folders. So let's change this name to focused, because I like that more than just focused. Past tense is better. And in here, we want to work on the core, not the base or gbase. Don't have gbase anymore. We just have the core, and don't forget the name became this. So you should make sure that we are working on the correct thing. Right now, if I had a working build.gradle and I would sync the Gradle project, because I have this focused.txt, I would only see the glibs-core inside the hierarchy under the main parent. Now, what if we want to see the whole thing? We just rename it to be something else, like back, and not searching, please, refactor. So because we have the name completely here, now this is different file. It will not be used, so we will include everything. After settings.gradle, let's go with gradle.properties, because I want to take the simple things out of the way before we move forward. Here's the thing, the Fabric API is using a little bit more than 2 gigabytes, 2.5 gigabytes, I think. In my experience, using 1 gigabyte was enough. However, I will change it to 2 gigabytes. Then the parallel equals true. That's the same thing. Okay, what's this? IntelliJ IDEA is not yet fully compatible with configuration cache. So they keep this configuration cache false. Then things start. Okay, let's change the looks of things at least, because I like my own commenting system a little bit more. And we say it memory management. And this is the Fabric properties. So I will do this. Mod properties. This is Fabric properties. So Minecraft version is 1.21.10. Then the yarn mapping, they change things. They get this part out, because in the build.gradle, they will add that 1.21.10 at the start. So you don't need to repeat it all the time. Loader version, then the installer version. Now we don't have the installer version. Also, we don't have this Loom version. Okay, let's get rid of that Loom version. Now, installer version, I'm not sure what it is. We will find if we need it or not. Then they have the version for the mod itself. Let me show you the library. And then the subprojects. Okay, so they have this version. This is the mod version. Don't forget, this is the main libraries version. Then they have this pre-release equals false. We will talk about that. Then the CurseForge version, if you want to publish to CurseForge. And then the sub versions for every mod and their libraries. So let's get this done this way. We will say, oh, here we go. This is the Fabric version. So they keep the first part. I will take it there. I will put it here. I will remove this. Now, as you see, they don't add the Maven groups, archive base names. None of that is presented here because they handle it automatically. That's the beauty of it. So let's get rid of that from my commenting. And let's take this guy out here. I will copy that. I will paste it here. Just some cleanup here. So this is glibs version. Here's something really important. They don't use underline. They use dash. So this is 1.0.0. Now, normally in my library, I was doing this plus MC dash the version of the MC. Well, we have the version of the MC on top, and this is just a name, a text. We can handle that inside the build.gradle itself. So I don't need to add those repetitive parts there. This is the mod properties. Then we will have submodules for mod version, let's say it. Then we have submodule versions. And here, the way they are doing things is that they have this module name dash version. Okay, so to make things easier for myself, I will copy this whole thing. I will close you. Thank you. Then I will paste this thing. I need this dash version copy for actually the whole thing, because all of them are just version 1 right now. So I will do this. Remove the include, remove the open code and close code, remove, and then paste the rest. So let me see. Can I do this? Yes, I can. Thank you. Makes my life a little bit easier like so. So we got our submodule versions. Now, one of these modules, energy module, is depending on the energy API. Okay, so I will copy this. I will paste it. And here we will call it dependencies like so. Then I will take it from my notes here. I will paste it there. For for my own library system, although I'm not sure if this is right now correct or not. After the tweaks, I will see how it will work, because jiraiya/glibs/jiraiya, that's not what I want. Okay, so let's go with this. And after that, the rest are actually being used for the mods. For example, the pal, libgui, emi, these are being used for other mods, not my mod. Mod menu and mod menu badges, I'm not going to add them to the library right now. That's our gradle.properties. Now we had our settings, we had our gradle.properties. The main thing remaining is our build.gradle. And I know that I said the videos will be shorter. This first video, I needed to explain things to you. And in the next video, we will start working on the builds.gradle step by step, understanding what is happening and why things are happening. Have fun, everyone. Bye.